do so many car YouTubers own one of these cars? Is it just a current fad? Or is it an incredibly underappreciated and underpriced modern classic? Let's find out. Initial impressions are not great. I've actually had to make a list. There's so many niggly things that I don't really like about this car that I've made a list so I don't forget them. The first thing that you notice is when you go to start the car, the key breaks in half. I've never had that with a car before. I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world, but what I've had to do is sort of put a long piece of tape on the metal part of the key so that I don't lose it. Seems like it'll be a common problem with these. The other thing is, when you first go to open the passenger window, you're like, I can see the switch for the driver's window, it's right here, that seems to work. Where on earth is the switch for the passenger window? You would think it would be kind of next to it, right? Or at least on the passenger door. No. So you're looking around and, oh, there it is, down there by the handbrake. So if I want to open both the front windows at the same time, I have to do two hands off the wheel like this, which is completely illegal, I'm sure, and kind of do a kind of motion like this. It's like, I guess it's okay once you kind of know where they are, but it's not the most convenient thing in the world. You would think that both switches would either be here or here, but no, that's not the MG way. There's various bits that are just simply no longer attached to the car. You tend to find them here and there, cubby holes in the boot, under the carpet, and so much so that it's got its own bag for all the bits that have fallen off of it. The headlining and door cards are not really attached to the car anymore. They're kind of loosely in place. This seems to be a very common problem with the MG ZS 180. But the thing that I really can't get my head around is why the clutch is so high on this car. And I don't mean the biting point, I mean the actual physical clutch is about 3 inches higher than the brake pedal. When Danny DC2 drove this car at the Nürburgring, he was complaining that his shin was constantly embedded in the dashboard every time he wanted to change gear. So I thought maybe it's just this one particular car has had a different clutch pedal fitted and it's the wrong one or something. Not so. This is how it came out of the factory. And you have to buy a special kit to lower it, which, like many other things about this car, I just find comical. Possibly the most annoying thing about the car of all, though, is the cup holder, which, apart from the fact that you can't find it, when you do finally find it, it's hidden inside the armrest. It doesn't actually fit a drink inside it. So if you want a can of Coke, for example, you're drinking it like this. Cheers. The car also has a tendency to lock you inside, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you're driving along, like, you know, kind of chilling out, and you put your arm up there, did you hear it lock? So you would think, okay, no problem. As soon as you pull the handle here, it will just unlock, right? Not so. So I'm pulling it now. You might think, oh, that's a high-tech safety thing, Adam, to prevent you from opening the door while you're driving along. Well, is it? Let's pull over and find out. Okay, so I've pulled over. Still can't get out of the car. So you think, okay, I'll wind the window down then. I'll be able to do it from outside, surely, right? Nope. And what you've got to do is you've got to hope you've got very tiny fingers or a set of tweezers, and then you come over here and sort of pull that up, and then voila, the door opens. Open sesame. I've never in my life driven another car where you have to open the door like that. But possibly the most inconvenient thing about this car is the turning circle, which reminds me of a kind of cross-channel ferry. It's so bad, in fact, that I think I should show you what I mean. So we're approaching a T-junction now, where I know for a fact that in most cars you can easily do a U-turn without any problem. So we'll try our best. We're already half in the bushes there. Oh dear, and now we're on the grass. Oops, that's not worked, has it? But don't worry, we can get around this way. The ZS 180 has been compared at length by people like Fifth Gear and Drive Tribe to the Honda Integra Type R DC2. I've not actually driven a DC2, so on that basis, I'll just give you the headline figures. The biggest difference on paper is the cost. The ZS180 can be purchased from 1,500 quid upwards. Compared to a DC2 Type R, you know, you're looking at 17, 18 grand onwards. So 10x difference in the price. In terms of the engines, they're quite different. This is a V6 2.5 litre, whereas the DC2 Type R is a 1.8 litre straight 4-cylinder. The power output is quite similar though, with the MG, as the name would suggest, 180 horsepower, and the DC2 Type R coming in at about 188 to 197, depending on who you listen to, I think. The MG, as you would expect, has more torque than the Type R because it's got a V6 engine. But really, I don't think the figures are relevant because of the way the Integra Type R revs. So what is relevant, obviously, is power to weight ratio, with the MG coming in at 140 horsepower per tonne, and the Integra Type R coming in at 167 horsepower per tonne, significantly higher. In terms of weight, they're both really light for road cars, with the MG coming in at 1,285 kilos, and the Integra Type R weighing just 1,125, which is more like a race car than a road car. The car is pretty comfortable, really. It's not exceptionally so, but it's not uncomfortable either. I've done about 2,000 miles in this car, including a trip to the Nürburgring in Germany. And yeah, no backache. Everything's kind of, well, I mean, things are in weird places, as I pointed out before, but the driving position's pretty good. Shame the aircon doesn't work, but you know, you can't really blame that on the car. The brakes are also pretty good. They're not incredibly powerful or anything, but then the car's light, so you don't really have any brake fades. Even on track, I've taken it around the Nürburgring as well as Lydden Hill. Both of the videos are on the channel or will be on the channel. Make sure you subscribe to see them. And no issues with the brakes. The only time I did have an issue with the brakes was on the way back from the Nürburgring when the rear caliper fell off and we completely lost braking altogether. But I'm going to say that was down to maybe a bad mechanic who replaced the rear calipers and just didn't do the bolts up to the correct torque and maybe didn't use thread lock on the bolts that held them in. I don't think it's a sort of design fault with the car. So yeah, the brakes work really well, but the thing about this car that all the fuss is about is the way it handles. I couldn't quite believe it. When I first took this car on track at Lydden Hill, I was shocked just how good it was. And again, you can see that video on the channel. It just handles so incredibly well for a front-wheel drive car. And I said in that video, it's the best handling front-wheel drive car I've ever driven, and I mean that. Tell you what, I'll show you what I mean. Let's give it some stick. The big question really, should you buy one?
I think that very much depends on what you intend to do with it. You can't really go wrong spending £2 on a car like this because it's just such a capable chassis, and I think in the future it's likely to be to start going up in value in a similar way that the Honda Integra Type R DC2 has. I'm not saying it'll ever be worth as much as they are, but I think it's likely that, you know, there's not too many of them around already. I don't know the production numbers. I'll see if we can find out or put them on the screen how many are left. But, you know, there's going to become fewer and fewer of them as they kind of corrode away, got forgotten about. And, you know, it's just, it is a special car. I bought this car, literally, my intention was to take it to Lydden Hill, do a quick track video, do a quick road review, and then sell it as quickly as possible. And that was about 3 months ago, I think. I've not been able to bring myself to sell it, so that should tell you something. But going back to the question, if your intention is just to use it as daily, for example, I'd probably say not really, because of all of the issues that I outlined before. If your intention is to drive this car on track, or even in a spirited way on the road, then really at £2 and even less, this one was 1,650 quid. I mean, you got to get one. It's just such a lot of fun that it handles. I can't tell you how well this car handles. Even on, we came on some tyres that looked like they were as old as the car. And, you know, you wouldn't, you know, most people wouldn't even drive a car on the roads with those. And I took it on track and it still handles unbelievably well. And again, you can see that video on the channel. And on that basis, if you love driving and you love a car with amazing chassis dynamics, why not? It's £2.
So onto the Adam Drive score out of 10. We're going to rate it as usual on fun, comfort, handling, and most crucially, how it makes you feel. For fun, it really depends whether you're taking this car to Silverstone or Sainsbury's. If you're taking it to Silverstone, it is close to a 10. I mean, I'm going to say 9.5. You know, if you're taking it to Sainsbury's, you know, it's kind of like not overly fun. It's probably like a 6. So I think a fair score would be to take halfway between those two. For comfort, I think 7 out of 10 is reasonable. It's not the most comfortable car in the world, but it's certainly not uncomfortable. And the suspension's surprisingly good on the bumps, considering how well the car handles. Coming to handling, that really is the party piece of this car. And I'd be tempted to give it a 10 out of 10. I would say there's always room for improvement. You could argue that this car would be even better with a limited slip diff, which it doesn't have, unlike the Integra Type R. So on that basis, I'll give it 9.5. In terms of how it makes you feel, it really is a bit like, it's polarizing. So if you were, as I said earlier, if you were using it as a daily, I think you'd probably start to get a little bit irritated with its kind of quirks and foibles. But if you're using it as a track car or a weekend toy to take on a nice flowing country road that you might know, you know, it makes you feel amazing. So I think taking an overall score, I think it's reasonable to give this car an 8 out of 10 for how it makes you feel. Bringing the total to... So that was the Adam Drives review of the MG ZS 180. If you liked the video, and more importantly, if you want to see more videos with this car, specifically at the Nürburgring, where the brakes failed on the way back, and I think we set the lap record for this car. I can't find anyone that's done a lap as fast in this car, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. And you might want to have a little look at the Lydden Hill video that's already up, which shows you just how unbelievably well this car handles. Anyway, until next time, see you soon.